Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And just no news this week again.
We got some potential documentaries coming up, though.
Yes, we do. So the news. So if you're living under a rock right now, you'll know. You should know, or if you're not living under a rock, you should know that there is a documentary going on about the 19, really just Michael Jordan's whole career, but a lot of it centers around the 1997-1998 season,
Yeah.
which is, of course, the last season that the Bulls were together, the season that Jerry Krause told Phil Jackson he could go 82-0 and he wouldn't keep that core together. Um, there's a really good Michael Jordan biography that I read. I forget who wrote it, but it's like long, but it kind of documents a little bit more into the Jerry Krause Michael Jordan relationship towards the end. Actually, I'll Google it and pull it up because if you're a big Michael Jordan fan like I am, or if you're just a big fan of basketball in the 80s and 90s like I am, um, it's it's a good book to read, and it also gives insight into like why Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan and why he was just such a huge asshole.
And I don't
Um,
read, so.
yeah, it's called Michael Jordan: The Life by Roland Lazarby. I hope I'm pronouncing Lazarby right. I don't know, or I'm sorry, Roland Lazenby. It's pretty long, but I highly recommend it, especially if you want to um, have something to go along with the documentary series. Or if the documentary series leaves you wanting more, it really goes into like his whole life. So if you want to read that, I highly recommend it. What do you think, Aditya?
I. I mean, I haven't watched any of it, so.
I haven't either. I think I'm gonna wait to watch it this summer probably once the hype dies down a little bit because of course the uh, goat debate was hot and it's gonna probably be hot every Monday for the next couple weeks after this when this documentary airs. So
Yeah.
whatever. I
But,
mean,
Dwayne Wade said that the Redeem team, like the Olympic team,
yeah,
might have a documentary coming out. And I don't know who said the second one, but
yeah.
there's a
So
documentary about Kobe's last year or two in the league.
yeah, so there was a report that came out that Kobe Bryant had a documentary team follow him around in his last season during the 2015-16 season, which is still the greatest season I've ever witnessed. Period. Like, hold on, let me turn my mic
In
recording
general,
volume
or
down a
in
little bit.
terms of like Kobe Bryant?
No, no, no. Like the 2015-16 season is like the best season I've ever watched, and
Uh,
one of the big narratives was Kobe Bryant, of course. So there's the I was in seventh grade during that season. You were in eighth grade. I remember vividly after like every single game, there was always a post of like Kobe would give somebody on the opposing team a signed pair of shoes. It was usually like the best player on the other team. Um, and I
it
think
would
that
have
was
been,
Paul George's second to last season in Indy.
yeah, yeah, it would have been
Uh,
cool if Kobe gave those shoes to like the rookie on each team. You know?
yeah, that would have been cool actually. Actually, it wasn't always the best player. I think he gave one to like Vince Carter. Also, by the way, if a minute ago you noticed a slight decline in my voice volume, it's I had to turn down my recording volume because I didn't realize how loud it was prior. So now that's why it is down more. Um, so yeah, and the Kobe documentary probably won't come out for a long time, and if it does come out, it would be because I would assume that Kobe's estate is probably in charge of that. Like, I would guess that Vanessa probably would have to give the okay for that, and you know what I mean?
Well, if she didn't, and she could just, if she didn't like it, she just kind of say like, "Hey, I didn't approve this," and then whoever made it is like canceled.
Yeah. But Vanessa's got the power there, so she can do whatever she wants with it. At this point,
Yeah,
I don't really like. It's been what 3 months since he died, 2 months since he died. I'm losing track of time.
3.
Yeah, we're coming
She
up.
died
Tomorrow's
January
the
26th.
Yeah, tomorrow's the 3 month anniversary. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so a couple potentially good documentaries that could come out in the next 20 years or so. I don't know. Um, there's also some minor league news with players declaring for the draft. Thon Maker's cousin, I believe, declared, and he's kind of a crazy athlete. Um, he's a
Yeah.
big dude. I think he's like 7 feet tall, and he runs the point or something.
Who? There's one player. I'm trying to find the name real quick. Greg Brown declined a 400K offer from the G League to commit to Texas.
That's wild. I follow a page on Instagram. It's a great page. It gets good artwork and it has interesting posts. It's called NBA Chop Shop, and he's kind of been dying on a hill this week about players going to college because it makes good memories. But like, I don't know, like what do you think about that? Do you think that he's got kind of a point there? Like I've been kind of thinking that like and it's also maybe because he's probably older than me, but I've grown up in like the player empowerment era. Um, so when I see an opportunity for a player to make money, I usually think that it's fine for them to take it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm still on the boat of like this whole G League thing is still new and we don't know where it's gonna go. Right
Yep.
now, the only real uh, the only players that have really done is like Darius Baisley, and he hasn't really done anything in the league yet. So we have to get like a bigger sample size and see how it turns out for players. But like in the next few years, if it's polished and whatever, I don't see a reason why top recruits would want to go to college because you can get paid. It doesn't affect your draft stock, and you get like not NBA level, but you get the G League trainers and coaches.
Yeah, well, I think that the best thing for them to do to get both sides to really agree, because I do like college basketball. Like college basketball is a cool institution. Like the
I don't
NCAA
watch it.
sucks, but I like watching college basketball.
Like I'll
Um,
watch some of the games in the tournament, but other than that, I'm really not
yeah, I
watching
mean, I
any.
really mostly watch in the tournament. I'm more of an NBA guy during the regular season, at least. The thing with college, I think that the best way to figure this out is just like, hey, bring back the one and done, or cancel the one and done. Bring back the just let players come out of high school again. It's some people didn't like that, but like it's look, the players know the risks. Like it's not like they're 18, 19 years old. Like they know the risks of going straight to the NBA from high school. Let them do it, and then there will probably be a couple of years where I said this last week. There will probably be a couple of years where it's really really high, where you see a bunch of players doing it, and then it'll go down again because there will be more failures.
Yeah.
Like
And again,
for
it's not
every
meant for everyone, but those select few players could help out a lot.
yeah, for every like Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, there are like probably 10 or 15 really shitty players that went straight to the league, like Kwame Brown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so it's it's the best way to figure this out because nobody's watching the G League. Period. Like the G League if the G League got five every if the G League got the top five recruits in the 2021 class, like the top five players in the 2021 class ranked on Max Preps or 24/7 Sports or whatever, if they got all five of them, nobody would. People still wouldn't watch the G League.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I
it's
mean?
just there for scouts. It's not there for like actual people to watch. I don't think they care about that. It's mainly for
Yeah,
scouts and making sure they get their chance to play and prove themselves and then end up on an NBA roster.
yeah. Also, how does that work? So, do they sign a 1 year deal and then they can go to the draft, or if they sign a 1 year deal, are they like in that? like let's just say a player signed a 1 year deal with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, the Pacers feeder organization.
Well, I don't know
Does
if
that mean that they
they.
could enter the draft afterward and it's just for scouts, or would it be like they are in the Pacers organization now, they can't get drafted by another
No,
team
it's
and they
not
can't
like
go to
that.
another team? Okay.
No, they. I don't know if they sign to like an actual G League team or if it's like a separate thing for them, but it's just a 1 year. They do their thing. They can probably stay for more years if they want to. I don't know, but like it's theoretically it's like a 1 year thing. You get paid. It's only part time in the G League, and then you declare for the draft like a normal prospect.
So it's
I
just
know.
college but paid, basically,
I know
like
for
what they would do in
sure,
college.
100% they're not forced to like stay with the team they signed to. I know that for sure.
Okay, so that's really that kind of changes it a little bit, just from my perspective, because it's like, so it's basically just they're going to college, but they're getting paid. Like it's the same sort of system where they can enter the draft after their year or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
which is basically what it is now. It's just instead of going to Duke, you go to the, you know, Sioux Fall, whatever the Sioux Falls team is.
Again, I'm still not sure because Noah was telling me that he thought that they had their own separate teams, but I don't know because there's definitely not enough players to have different teams for them yet. So I don't know where that's going, but
Oh, so there would be like G League teams that don't have an NBA affiliate, like that sort of thing.
I mean, I'm not sure. Again, this is just what he said. Like those players that come out of high school and go to the G League they wouldn't just sign to the Mad Ants or whatever. They would have their own separate like team.
Oh, okay.
But again, there's not enough players that have even like
Yeah.
done the program for that to happen yet, and I don't think they'd want to create a whole new set of teams just for this. So I don't know where it's going, but
Yeah.
all the details aren't
Um,
out yet. So
yeah. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes. And that's really all the big NBA news that we've got. Oh, there was one other thing. There was kind of an interesting. I think it was Bradley Beal went live with Jason Tatum on Instagram, and they were kind of talking about this, and he was saying it's kind of an interesting perspective for to get like a young player who could have been in this process. You know what I mean? Like Jason Tatum was class of 2016, I believe. He went to Duke for 2016-17 and then entered the draft and went third overall in 2017. But he was saying like, so would you do it? Would you take the 500 grand for a year in the G League? And he was like, no, I'd rather play at Duke. And he was like, oh, so Duke gave you 600 grand.
well, again, I mean, like, this whole process is pretty new. And it's not.
Yeah,
The college experience is definitely still there. Players like playing with those crowds,
yeah,
because college crowds are insane. So
yeah. I thought it was interesting to just see like a younger perspective on it. You know what I mean? Like,
plus, the thing with players
uh,
like Jason Tatum is he's gonna get a max of like he's an All NBA type player in another like this year he could have been an All Star. He turned it up. So in the future he's getting a max at some point, right? So the 600K is nice at the time, but we don't know how it could have affected his draft stock. If I was him, I probably wouldn't have done anything differently because he's due for a big bag whenever uh, he's up for it.
yeah. Jason Tatum was an All Star this year.
He was.
Yeah, I just looked it up because you said he could have been an All Star if he turned it up, and I was like, I thought he was an All
Oh,
Star, and yeah, he was an
well,
All
yeah.
Star
There you
this year.
go. There you go.
Third season.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, we
So
vamp a little bit. I'm gonna go get a Wawa refill, and then we can talk about this game that we watched.
okay, sure. But yeah, again, he had a really good season this year, and oh, that is so loud. But yeah, he had a good season, and if he had gone the G League route instead of college, he might have fell past third because it's obviously a different experience. There's less cameras, and it's still not a polished system. So I'm sure in a few years it'll be like a good option, but as of right now, it is a big risk to take. You could potentially be throwing away your entire draft stock.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard that. My fridge is pretty close to my computer, but not like super close. So I know Adichie heard it because he said, "Oh my God, that's loud." But that's only because I'm wearing headphones and we're on an Instagram chat.
Yep.
So I don't know if you did hear that, cool. Go fuck yourself.
Well, that's just mean. No need for that.
I'm a badass, dude. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
All right, moving on.
um, yeah. So, okay. So, do you have your notes ready?
I do.
Alrighty. So, let me pull mine up. So we watched. Okay, so again, if you want to watch this game with us, you can go to NBA.com, make an account if you don't already have one, and then you go free preview and find the games. All
This
these games are on
particular game was
NBA.com.
also on YouTube.
Yes, so I think what we might want to do is like if we think of a good game in our head, we can look and see if it's on YouTube if it's not on the NBA preview, and that way people can still watch it.
Okay.
Because there are a couple games that I've kind of thought to watch, but they're not on YouTube. Um,
Right.
so or they're not on the NBA preview. But I haven't looked on YouTube. So we watched it's the date is June 14th, 2000. I think it's called Shaq and Kobe lead the Lakers to a win in an overtime thriller or something like that. It's the 2000 NBA Finals Game 4.
Yeah. Um. So the Pacers lost this one by like 2 points. Kind of sucks as Pacers fans.
Yeah, it was 120 to 118. Okay, so I guess like a couple notes about this game before. So the Pacers, this is their first and only NBA Finals series. They've never made one before, and they've never made one since. They've gotten close, uh, but they
With
have
Paul
not
George.
gotten there again. This Pacers coaching staff was also fucking stacked. Okay, Larry Bird, the head coach. So Larry Bird took the job for 3 years. He said he was only going to do it for 3 years, and he did it for 3 years. After the Pacers lost the series, he retired as the coach,
Mm-hmm.
which is insane because every season he was with the Pacers from 97 98 to 99 2000. They made the Eastern Conference Finals or better in each of those years.
Yeah, he was a good coach.
Isn't that fucking crazy? They pushed the 98 Bulls to 7 games. Like that's crazy.
And the Shaq
Um
and Kobe team to 6 games.
yeah, and Shaq and Kobe this is again this is the toughest I'd say, and I think everybody else would say, this is the toughest final series that the Shaq and Kobe Lakers played in, period. Um, so
Yeah.
the other two, of course, are the Allen Iverson and skeleton team Sixers and the New Jersey Nets that won like 50 games maybe and were the one seed and were not,
Yeah,
and
because,
I
well,
think they
that
got
year,
swept.
it was like if the Kings had not gotten screwed over by the refs, they would have been champions because that Nets team was
Yeah,
not good.
yeah, yeah. That Nets team was not good. Not only were they not good, that I think that's the worst that the East has ever been.
2018 was a bad year for the East.
2018 was a bad year for the East, but at least the Raptors, I think the Raptors were the 1 seed or the 2 seed, and they won like 58 games or 59
Celtics were
games.
the Celtics were the 1 seed, right? With Isaiah Thomas.
2018 was the year that LeBron went to the J.R. Smith final series.
Oh, I'm thinking of the year
Uh,
where the Celtics led Isaiah Thomas team was the 1 seed with like 50 wins.
oh, that was 2017, I think. Let me
Ah,
look.
both years were
Yeah,
pretty
that
weak if I remember, but
Yeah,
yeah.
both of those years were pretty weak, but like this is the like the argument that Jordan fans and LeBron fans both say it that the East was weak.
Hmm.
LeBron fans say that Jordan's East was weak in the '80s because he made the playoffs with 30 wins, which is kind of dumb because that team was there were 12 teams, somebody had to make it. Oh yeah, so that Celtics team was 53 and 29, and they were the 1 seed, and the
Yeah,
Cavs were
and
51
they
and 31.
would have lost to the 8th seed if Rondo didn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The 8th seed Bulls.
Yep, those 8 seed Bulls, baby. The last time the Bulls made the playoffs. And then of course Jordan fans say that LeBron's East was weak because 53
It
win
was.
Celtics team. Yeah, it is. But um, both both narratives have a degree of truth to them. I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them are crazy. So yeah, so there was a so this is right before the East gets super weak. So the Pacers were good. This was before the Meta World Peace era. Yeesh. Um, this was and a couple notes
I
about
still
this.
stand by my statement that the Pacers would have a ring if Meta World Peace didn't jump into those stands.
I agree. My dad indoctrinated me with that when I was young, and I still believe that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why he's my least favorite player in NBA history. Fun
for
fact.
real, I thought it was Boogie.
He's my
And you
least
just
favorite current player. Ron Artest is my least favorite of all time.
yeah, that's fair. So, oh, I went on a little rant. So this coaching staff is loaded. Larry Bird, Rick Carlisle, and Dan Burke were all on this staff. I talked about Larry Bird, gassed him up. Rick Carlisle, championship winning coach, one
And
of the best coaches
one
in
of
the
the better
league.
coaches in the league right now.
Yep. Um, One of the only coaches I think that could survive the Mavericks were really bad for like 3 straight years, and Mark Cuban. I don't think Mark Cuban even thought of firing him because he knew that it wasn't really Rick's fault. That roster was
Yeah,
just
that
bad.
team was bad.
Um, and then of
But
course Dan Burke,
one
one of the greatest defensive assistant coaches ever. He's still on the Pacers staff. Um, Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying, I think it was Kendrick Perkins maybe that said this, where like Rick Carlisle is a good coach, but none of his players ever really like him.
I mean that makes sense. Yeah, he seems like I don't know. I don't really know a ton about him, like his locker room presence, but that's the case with a lot of coaches in a lot of different leagues. Um, all right, what else? So, do you have any notes for this game before we kind of go into it?
Going into it, Kobe had an ankle injury. I think they
Yes,
said like the game before that he'd only played a few minutes.
yes. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, he had that sort of
Um,
nagging on him the whole
oh,
game.
also another thing to note. This is Reggie Miller's last All Star year. He's 34 years old in this series.
He looks pretty young though, like just looking at him.
He does, but Reggie Miller always looks young because it's
Yeah,
Reggie Miller.
still,
He still looks young. He's like
yeah,
53 years old and he looks like he's 20, or not
yeah,
20, but like 30.
yeah. He
Um,
does.
so Reggie is the Pacers' best player, like period. He's
Yes.
the best Pacer. But Rick Smits is having a shitty series, and so
Well,
Rick Smits,
Reggie
if you
Miller
don't
was
know,
having a not great series too. He was shooting like 3 of 15 from three
yeah,
that series, right? He just wasn't hitting them
yeah,
shots.
he was perfect from the line though.
Yes.
So, but Reggie Miller 50 40 90 guy. Rick Smits. So Rick Smits, if you don't Rick Smits is kind of an Indiana legend. It's not bad if you don't know who Rick Smits is. So he was an All-Star in 98 with Reggie Miller. He actually retired after this series cuz he had some pretty significant nerve damage in his feet, I believe. It
Yeah, they were
was his
talking
feet
about his leg
specifically.
injuries.
Yeah. But Rick Smits, he's 7'4". He's a legendary pacer, but it's not bad if you don't know him because he only made like one All Star team. Um, so Rick Smits in this game, Rick Smits, or in this series, this is one of Rick Smits' bad series. He was not good in this series, and That's not really. It's a little bit his fault, but he also had 27-year-old Shaquille O'Neal on him. This is the best that Shaquille. This is prime Shaq, the best Shaq that there's ever been.
Most dominant center of all time.
Like this was like 98 to 2004 was Shaq's like 6 or 7 year peak,
Well, they pointed that
and he
out.
was smack in the middle of this.
They pointed that out earlier in the game. They're talking about how in one of the previous games in the series, Shaq had 33 points, and the Pacers considered that like keeping him down. And then Reggie
Yeah,
Miller had 33 points, and that was considered a breakout game,
yeah. Shaq for this series averaged 38 points a game, which is
which was
not
normal for
unlike.
him. It was just
Yeah,
normal.
that's not unlike his
38 and
averages.
20 is just kind of what he does.
Yeah, he averaged 38 and 17 for this series and almost 3 blocks a game.
Yep.
This is peak Shaquille O'Neal, the best Shaq that there has ever been up to this point, and probably the best Shaq that there ever was. Like he had plenty of great seasons, but I believe this was his MVP year.
I'm not sure about
Uh,
that. I don't know.
oh, he won 3 MVPs, so I believe this was one of his MVP years. Let me take a little looky.
Well, yeah.
Uh, you vamp.
Even though Shaq is very dominant, his first quarter was very slow. He was not. He did not start off the game very great. He shot like I think he was 1 of 5. I can double check, but yeah, he shot 1 of 5 in the first quarter, but he made 3 out of his 4 free throws. But overall, it was a pretty slow start to the game for not just him, but like really the whole Lakers team. And the Pacers just kind of came out blazing, and they were just hitting everything. So
Yeah,
they
so this was Shaq's. He's 3 time Finals MVP. I messed up on All Star or Basketball Reference. He is NBA MVP once, and it was 99 2000.
so this season.
Yes. So this is Shaq's most dominant probably season, his best season. And he was shutting down Rick Smits, and Rick Smits was having some trouble.
The problem with this game is not like the Pacers only lost by 2. This game wouldn't have even gone into overtime if Shaq just wasn't hitting his free throws. Like he was actually making it a decent clip for Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, they noted at the beginning of this game that the Pacers had fouled him a lot, and they said that if Shaq had made every free throw up to this point, which is kind of a stupid thing to talk about because it's fucking Shaq, um, but if he had made every free throw up to that point, he would have been averaging 51 points a game for the series.
Yeah, he is not a great free throw shooter, but this game he finished 10 of 17, which doesn't sound great, but for Shaquille O'Neal, when you're sending him to the line that many times in a 2 point loss, that is like a lot.
Yeah, 10 of 17 is like 60% from the line. Like that is pretty good for him considering I think he averaged for his career like it was bad. He has a 52% career free throw percentage.
They showed a graphic at the beginning of the game when he first went to the line, and it said for the whole series, like the whole final series, he was shooting 38% from the free throw line. So if he had continued that for this game, the Pacers would have won the game.
Yeah, and they would have won it easily
Yeah.
too. Like it
Well, maybe
wouldn't have
not
even really been
easily.
that close.
Maybe not easily,
I
but
It would have been not yeah, so he shot 58% from the line this game. It would not have been as close as it was if he had missed if he had missed 4 or 5 more of those free throws, it definitely wouldn't have gone to overtime.
it wouldn't have gone to overtime. But it would have still been a close game though, because a 4 point loss in regulation
Yeah,
is
that's
still
true. That's
close.
true. Kobe, I guess. Note no, we should note that Kobe was also good in this game.
Which is weird. Isaiah Thomas pointed it out at halftime. Which, by the way, at halftime they were using pink microphones. I would like to let everyone know that pink microphones. Um,
Not yeah, they
but
do be
at
doing that.
halftime, he talked about how in the first quarter, Mark Jackson was really going at Kobe, and they were playing that they knew he had a hurt ankle, so they were trying to take advantage of that as much as they possibly could. But and then they were winning the game by they had a 10 point lead at one point, but in the second quarter they sort of stopped and they didn't sort of attack at Kobe as much as they should have since he again was playing on a hurt ankle, and then the Lakers really started coming back off that. If they had sort of kept pressure on him, they might have been able to win the game.
Yeah. So Kobe dropped 28 points this game, which is wild. Like, cause he was hurt in the last game. Yeah. Um, do you want to take a look at the minutes breakdown, I guess, for the Lakers?
Yeah, well,
Because Shaq and Kobe both played 46
in the
or more.
first quarter, they both played 12 minutes. They played the whole quarter, but they both struggled. They shot a combined 2 of 9 from the field and had 7 points. So it was a bad first quarter for them. Um, in the second quarter, Shaq played 10, Kobe played 8.5, and Shaq stepped it up. Kobe was still, he only took 3 shots this quarter, so he was still being kind of passive because I'm imagining he was just in some pain.
Yep.
Glenn Rice played 7 minutes in the first quarter, 6 minutes in the second quarter. So yeah, looking at halftime, Shaq and Kobe had both played about 20 minutes each. Glenn Rice played 13, Ron Harper played 12. Off the bench, Robert Horry played 16 minutes. Rick Fox played 10, and Derek Fisher played 12
Yep.
at halftime. And then if you go to the third quarter, Kobe played all 12, Shaq played 11, so they were still playing a lot of minutes. And
Yep.
Kobe had 10, Shaq had 7 points in this quarter, so Kobe sort of picked it up a little more. And then in the fourth quarter, Shaq played all 12, Kobe played 9, and Shaq had 14 points, and Kobe had 4. And then, so that half, they both played, again, they both played about 21, 22 minutes each. Glenn Rice played another 21 minutes, and Robert Horry played 15 off the bench. But there's a lot of their minutes are more spread out in this game for both teams because there was an insane amount of foul calls being called on both teams.
Yeah.
Shaq fouled out in overtime, I believe, because he only played 2 minutes of the overtime. Yes, he did foul out. Kendrick Perkins on the other team had 5. On our team had 5 fouls, and Rick Smits had 4, I believe. So there was just a lot of fouls being called on everyone.
It's Sam Perkins, by the way.
What did
Just
I
for
say?
the Kendrick.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's
I
fine.
know, I know, it's Sam Perkins.
It's confusing. Yeah, it's confusing.
But yeah,
Also, something to note: Chris Mullin was on this Pacers team, but this is not good. Chris Mullin. Chris
this is
Mullin.
the year before the last season he plays Chris Mullin.
Yeah. So the Pacers. I don't really know the history of Chris Mullin with the Pacers, but he played with them for 4 years. So like everybody knows Chris Mullin, one of the best shooters in the history of the league, like the one of the best players. Period. He was kind of Golden State's salvage
Well,
in
they had
the
Run
80s and 90s.
TMC.
Yeah, he bridged the pain gap for for Warriors fans between like Rick Barry and like you know the Baron Davis. You know what I mean? Like he was kind
Well,
of the
their
like they
teams weren't
were
bad though because they had Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and him. Their
no
teams were good.
they yeah, but the thing with like he was like one of a few good players that they had like between Rick Barry and like Baron Davis. Like it was pretty Tim Hardaway, and Mitch Richmond were kind of the only really good players that the Warriors had in that
Yeah,
period. You know what I mean?
yeah. It
Like
was
he
it
was
was a bit
not
of a
like
bad era for them.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was very old. Sam Perkins was like,
Yeah.
what's he, 39 in this series?
39.
But they were like the announcers were really they were highlighting his importance because it was either him or Rick's like he is really he's a good 3-point shooter. That's about it at age 39 that he was doing out there.
Yeah, he was
So
kind of like a weird like stretch four almost.
yeah, so the announcers were talking about how it was like a big decision for Larry Bird because Rick Smits was in foul trouble from basically minute 1 of the game, but he
Yeah.
was the only like Sam Perkins at 39. He's like 6'8". He's not stopping Shaq, right? But on offense, he has the ability to force Shaq out of the paint, which can open up more space. So it was sort of a decision for Larry Bird to make whether he keeps in Rick Smits or if he goes with Sam Perkins.
Yeah, Sam Perkins was solid in this game. Like he was kind of the guy like if the Pacers needed a big basket, it seemed like either he or Reggie Miller were kind of always the guys who would get it.
Jalen Rose, well, he Jalen Rose has a bad game, so
Yeah, Jalen Rose did not play well. He was 5 of 16 from the field.
yeah, he was missing a lot of just shots that you shouldn't miss, especially in the NBA Finals when you're like your team's second best player.
Yeah, they definitely needed him, and he was not really showing up that well.
There was a lot of things in this game where if one thing just went right for the Pacers, they could have won this game. You know,
Yeah, it was a lot of things broke their way in the first half that didn't in the
because
second half,
yeah,
really.
even Mark Jackson had a bad game. Now that I'm like, he was pretty quiet in the game overall, but like when I'm looking at the box score, 2 of 8 from the field, not great.
Yeah,
He had
not
he had 7
great.
assists, which isn't bad, but like he's not a super flashy player anyway. But so he sort of is quiet. You're not focusing on him too much, but he just didn't have a good game.
Yeah. It should also be noted that Reggie Miller was perfect from the line until he missed one in this game. Like he made like 30 straight free throws or something.
Yeah, he was 22 of 22 going into this game, and then he shot 11 of 12 this game.
Yeah. Yeah. It also Reggie Miller was really fucking good at drawing fouls. He's one of the most
Yeah,
underrated
the announcers called him the
foul
king of
drawers in the league.
flops.
Yeah, he was the original like flopper. Like he was
Yeah,
great at flopping.
well, because he kicked
It
his
was
legs
like
out after every shot to try and draw
yeah,
the
it was
foul.
like the thing he did best. It's not the thing he did best, but it was like definitely a huge part of the reason why he's Hall of Famer. He's so successful.
Yeah. If Reggie Miller was putting up James Harden type numbers with the amount of fouls he was drawing, he'd probably be as hated as James Harden.
Yeah, for sure. Um, um,
Uh,
what else we got?
well, this doesn't have too much to do with like the actual game overall, but Austin Crozier or however you say his name pisses me off, dude. He's
Why?
so because okay, so Mark Jackson has the ball. This play was sort of like made me mad, and then the more I watched him throughout the game, he pissed me off more and more. Uh, so Mark Jackson has the ball at the top of the key. Reggie Miller is wide open. Austin Crozier comes, takes the ball, runs to the corner, and takes a contested three. All of this is going down while Reggie Miller is still wide open at the elbow. And
At this
then
point, the greatest shooter in the history of the league.
and he just bricks it. Not even like a
Yep.
close brick, just hits the side of the rim. And I was like, dude, what are you
Yes.
doing?
Austin Crozier's role on this team, it seems like looking at kind of his like career time with the Pacers, he was basically the sixth man. Like he was the sixth man on those Pacers teams
Well, he
basically
played
until
the
he left. Like
second least minutes this game besides
yeah,
Chris Mullen, who played 2.
yeah, and it's not shocking why
Yeah, because he
because he
sucks
was
and I
not good.
hate him.
Yeah, he was not good. Um,
They were talking about Derek McKee for a second, and I thought they were said Aaron McKee. And I was like, God damn it, how did he end up here again, dude? Why do we always end up talking about Aaron McKee? But then it was
yeah.
Derek. So
The McKees just find their way into the podcast.
he actually had a somewhat okay game. I mean, nothing
Yeah, he was
special,
fine.
but it was fine. He doesn't jack up bad shots like Aaron.
Dale Davis was playing pretty well. He had like 8 rebounds. He was the Pacers' leading rebounder for the series.
Travis Best, like so, the Pacers had the last shot in the game. It was a tie game. Um, Travis Best threw. He threw so hard. So again, it's a tie game, 17 seconds left on the clock, and I'm sure you remember this play. But 17 seconds left on the
Yo,
clock. He ISOs on Shaq, takes a contested mid range, and just airballs it. And this
not
was
a
for
great.
game. This was for
Yeah.
game. You have Reggie Miller, Jalen Rose, Mark Jackson, and this man takes a contested
Fucking
shot over
Chris Mullin
Shaq.
too off the bench. He would have
Well,
been
he wasn't
better.
he wasn't playing,
Old
and
Chris
like he
Mullin would have
wasn't.
been better than that.
Yeah, he wasn't in the game at the time, but he would have done something better than a contested. He ISO'd on Shaq and he didn't go to the 3 point line. Who does that?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That play is sucks. But the play that the Lakers drew up wasn't that much better either. Like they had Shaq taking like a running hook. It's
Yeah,
the
but
last
the
shot was
difference is
originally.
that's a shot Shaq can make
Yeah.
because they only had a few seconds left on the clock anyway. We had 17 seconds, and that's what we came up with. You know,
Yeah,
they had like
it's
three,
yeah.
and that was still a better shot than what we got. So again, a lot of things went wrong for the Pacers. That like if one little thing changed here or there, the game could have been ours.
Yeah, or even if they just didn't take the worst shot they could have possibly could have.
Yeah, I because
Um,
they're
yeah.
passing the ball to anybody else on the court, no matter how contested the shot is, you would have gotten a better shot than that.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess let's talk about the overtime period now. Unless you have something else you want to talk about for regulation.
No, I'm good.
All right. So overtime was close. You know what overtime isn't. This was a good. It was one of the better overtime periods I've watched. Like some of them it'll be like a team goes on an 8-2 run and then it's over. But this was a lot of trading baskets, a lot of
Well, the thing is, in this overtime period, all of our points came from two players. They took basically all the shots. Jalen Rose missed one. And then looking at the box score, apparently Austin Crochet took a shot. He missed it, no surprise there. But other than that, it was just Reggie Miller and Rick Smits taking everything.
yeah. They got Shaq to foul out, which like that was their
Pretty
best
early on.
opportunity to win, and they did not capitalize on
Yeah,
it.
the announcers even highlighted it's like you finally fouled Shaq out. You have to take advantage here. You're not going to get a better opportunity. But
Yeah,
they did
this
not.
was the series. Like this is the Pacers going down 3-1. They're not going to come back from 3-1 down against this team. This team's too good. Um, so there's like a feeling of you have to capitalize. Like you are at home,
Well, by this point,
you're
they don't know that they're down 3-1. They're down 2-1. But,
no, I know, but what I'm saying is like this overtime is the series. If you
oh,
lose
yeah, yeah,
this,
yeah.
you go down 3-1.
Yeah. And the thing is,
So
too,
you
as soon as
have
Shaq
to
fouled out, Rick
capitalize.
Smits he didn't miss. He did everything
Yeah.
he could to keep them in the game, and they still lost.
Yeah, he was great in the first quarter, and then he basically didn't play until overtime.
Well, because he was getting in. When you're
He
guarding
got in serious
Shaq, you're
foul
gonna get
trouble.
in a lot of foul trouble anyway. But he had like
Yeah.
4 fouls in the first quarter or something like that. I don't even know. He had a
Yeah,
lot of fouls.
he was not having a great time guarding Shaq.
Yeah.
You got anything else for this game?
Um. Well, just one thing overall, like in regulation more than in overtime, obviously, but Reggie Miller was being very passive. Like I saw they had the graphic halfway through the third quarter that was like Reggie Miller hasn't made a shot since the first quarter, and he'd only taken like 2 or 3 since then. So it was like he wasn't taking many shots at all. Especially the second quarter, I think he only took one shot, and then he sort of started
Yeah.
turning up, and he took 19 total in the game. But yeah, he was
Yeah,
being pretty
Reggie
passive.
dropped 35, and he got 11 of those from the line.
Yeah,
Um, which is like that's a lot of points, and he was the Pacers' leading scorer, kind of by far. Rick Smits had 24, and that's the next closest player. A lot of like really spread out production from the Pacers, actually.
Yeah, 3 players off the bench had 10 points.
Yep.
And again, if Jalen Rose doesn't drop a brick this game, we would
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, not great. Not a great performance by those Pacers.
Nope. But
Um,
it's fine. I mean, yeah, I
um,
don't.
do you have anything else?
No, I don't have really anything else to add to this. I don't know if you do.
I do not.
All right.
All right. So now we got to pick our game. So let me
Um.
make sure that the game I'm thinking of is not on this because it might be.
Again, if not, we
Uh,
could always just find the games on YouTube.
yeah. So I want to. So I'm gonna look on YouTube and see if it's there. So I'm thinking that we watch the 1994 1995 finals, game one. Do you know this? Are you familiar with this series?
Nope.
All right. So this is the Hakeem's second championship. This is the series that the uh, Magic lost in four. They got swept. But it's one of the closer sweeps, if you could say that. Or I'm sorry. Well, uh, yeah, okay. So the 95 finals game one, Rockets Magic. This is Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, the only finals series they ever made. This is the playoff run where they beat Michael Jordan, which, in 1995, Michael Jordan had not been beat in a playoff series in almost 6 years.
But to be
Um,
fair, this was the year that you just come back, so it's
oh
not.
yeah, this was the number 45 Michael Jordan. So this is the so this Magic team is good though, because that Bulls team was still good even without Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're playing Hakeem. This is Hakeem's like kind of his legacy playoff run. Like 94 was big for him, but 1995 he was a 6 seed. Like I think Clyde Drexler was on this team, but he was getting pretty old at this point. This is Hakeem's like legacy. This is Hakeem's legacy playoff run. This is the playoff run that isn't better, but I think it is in the conversation with one of the best single player performances in any playoff run. I think it's up there with 2011 Dirk, 2018 LeBron, stuff like that. And he won the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is also the game. So this game, so I watched this 30 for 30. It's the Shaq and Penny 30 for 30, and it talks about this finals series a little more in depth. But it like Penny or I'm sorry, Nick Anderson missed four straight free throws in this game.
Oh yeah, that would like they would have won the game if they did if you didn't. Game one.
Yeah, so this is that game, and Penny Hardaway is one of my favorite players of all time. So this is gonna be painful. But Hakeem's also one of my favorite players, so it might be kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we got this game. Do you agree? You want to watch this one?
Yeah, I'm just looking on Basketball Reference because I found one that we could do after this one
All
if
right.
you
What are you
want to.
thinking?
The Miami Heat Dallas Mavericks 2006 NBA Finals Game 4.
Oh hell yeah!
Or wait, is it Game 5? It's Game 5. Game 5, sorry.
Hell yeah! Is that on YouTube?
I'm checking right now.
Dude, that sounds sick. I'd love to watch that.
Yes, wait, no. Uh, I found it in Spanish, but I'm not
Uh,
seeing like an actual. Wait, someone uploaded it, but it's in 2 parts. So, if
okay.
you fine with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
we could do
Sounds
that
good.
after this Hakeem game if you want to.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All
So
right.
we've got our game ready for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully, by the end of that, we might have basketball again. Probably not, but wishful thinking.
Probably not, but maybe, you know?
Yeah, maybe. All right. So like and subscribe.
So
Follow
we're
us on
doing game
Twitter.
one, right? Game one of the.
Yeah, game one of the 1995 NBA Finals.
Okay, cool.
Uh, uh, Magic versus Rockets. Hakeem Olajuwon, Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal. Good series. All right.
All right, cool. Yeah, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. If you've made it this far. Um, and yeah, so I think I'm done. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, leave a comment. Tell us why we're stupid, dumb idiots, and why our opinion is wrong. And like this video, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and that's it.
Yep.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.